that's the dream of authority, right? So how do you do that? How do you actually functionally do that? How do you build topic authority in a crowded space to predict estimates? I do it with artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms, and I deliver it to thousands of clients. But how do you do it if you are selling that as an agency who doesn't have those capabilities?
That's a great question. I would say that, first of all, this is not scalable as we are going
Right.
to give you 20 keywords this quarter and we are going to give you 20 keywords next quarter and we are going to charge you, I don't know, 5K for that. So it's not scalable. And also, to your point, obviously, like we are not as scientific in our approach as like MarketMuse, obviously. Yeah. But I would say that we have a very good process and system in place
Yeah.
using obviously technology and leveraging technology when we can to identify. And it's not only about keywords because like
Yeah.
people very often are like so obsessed with keywords. Keywords are important and they represent something, but in many cases, at the end of the day, what matters is to give answers to questions that people have. And some of these questions may not have a search volume. I would say that the way we do it is by taking a step back once again and thinking about audiences and customers instead of just trying to uncover keywords. Nothing wrong with that. But the
Right.
ultimate source of truth, especially if we are talking about SaaS companies, is your customer. And so we try to get as close to the customer as possible and try to get insights from them that you will not get from, or it's like very hard to get from SEO software. And when I say insights, like some of the sources here could be sales calls. If you record sales calls, chances are that in many cases you will have recordings, reviews that you have in review sites like Z2, Capterra, and so on. Customer support tickets. That's great, so that you can have a like a proactive rather reactive approach when it comes to like how do we support customers that we already have, and so on and so forth. So once again, it's not scalable, it's not easy, but it's the ultimate source of truth.
No, I love that answer. And you get into some things like post sale doc. That's the forgotten part of the journey, right? The implementation, the forums, the support side, CS tickets. That's content that people forget is actually part of the journey. And you need it in order to be there in the middle and the top of the funnel. So I love that you got into those things. They're not as exciting. They're not as known as being important to, but the best sites in the world that rank for what is X, right? It's because they have support in the middle of the funnel. It's because they have support at the bottom and post sale and customer success content. I mean, that's the secret we're all talking about here. And the people who can bring that forward, that was the original model for content strategists and editors in chief in the 80s, 90s, and today. We're actually telling a writer or an editor or a content strategist that all the stuff they want to write, yeah, crush it, be an expert. Let us, though, as technical strategists or SEOs, let us weave it all together so that it works. Is that what we're saying? Like GMs and experts and editorial superstars are actually the all-stars.
I think that this happens because we are, as con marketeers or SEO professionals or whatever, we are very focused on the acquisition stage. Like I brought them here, I brought them to the website. What else do I have to do? And we forget, even though nowadays, like companies separate those roles into product marketing and con marketing and so on, but we forget what happens after. And by the way, as you correctly mentioned, what happens after in many cases may also have an indirect benefit and effect on what happens before. For example, help senders may have a positive contribution to a website's overall authority based
Almost
on specific
always.
topics. Yeah, because we talk about, I don't know, hundreds, if not thousands of pages, depending on like how big your customer base is and so on. So there is an indirect benefit for the acquisition stage as well. But I think that definitely we have to give more attention to what happens after the sale.
The helpful content update. I've spent an ungodly amount of hours researching the changes, and I am feeling pretty good about it. It's a good place to be if you're a MINUTTIA or MarketMuse right now, who produces high quality content and knows the space and understands topic authoritativeness and authority. But what's your take on HCU, as the SEO nerds are calling it?
I would say that obviously content is very important, and quality of content. And I think that this is what happens right now is a great shift towards uh, like not compromising on quality and being more certain that the person we have or the company we have assigned to write a piece of content actually know their stuff, and they're not just following the instructions of an AI generated content brief. So this is a very important point. But at the same time, something that I see over and over again, and I have examples of companies who reach out to us, is the fact that content is one thing, okay? And definitely content is important. But when we talk about content, it's not just like the text that you have on like the body section of a blog post. Okay. So it's the whole experience. Have you mapped the right CTAs to this piece of content? Do you have any linkable elements? Is it visually appealing? Is it easy to navigate? And at the same time, is there an ultimate goal for this website? Now, for SaaS companies, like the ultimate goal may be obvious. Like we want you to, if you are on the blog, and depending on the intent, we want you to subscribe, or we want you to download this report or request a demo or whatever. Okay. But for other websites, I don't know. I see blogs that don't have an obvious journey that you would like ideally people to take. And so just even if you do great work when it comes to content and people come and see something that's not really humanized, you can understand that there are actually like people, human beings that write the content, represent this blog, and so on and so forth. And by the way, this is the ultimate goal and the objective that we have for this blog. I see these websites having diminishing returns when it comes to their performance. And I think that these are all things that we need to contribute. I don't know how things will evolve, but I think that moving forward, it's going to be more about the experience. And when I say experience, I don't mean just check your bounce rate and see whether or not the bounce rate is high or low, because guess what? If we have what is, as you mentioned previously, piece of content, the bounce rate like should be low. Like people want to get an answer to a very specific question. They got it, they bounced back. Okay. So this is to say that bounce rate, always you should rate it on a page level. And at the same time, it's not the end all be all when it comes to user experience. Bounce rate, yeah, it can draw a picture, but definitely not the whole picture. So you have to dive deeper into experience and start thinking about experiences and meaningful outcomes for the visitor instead of checking boxes of SEO best practices.
We were literally talking about something you just said yesterday, and how actually it would be pretty foolish to be looking only at it at the page level without it being a page topic combination level. So there has to be a matrix of concepts associated with the page, because one page may have a massive bounce rate for one word and a wonderful one for another. So as you get into this, please don't use averages for bounce rate. When you're looking at your pages, please look at all the page topic combinations. That's why we built our all inventory, which gives you all page topic combinations. It's literally for that purpose, because your project management software comparison, the best project management software page that compares the top 20 things, guess what? That page shouldn't rank for what is project management software. It shouldn't rank for it. You're going to need that other page. But if you've got people landing on it for that what is query, guess what? They're not happy. And that's a problem. It doesn't say that page isn't on the nose as a comparison page. So I think you said that so eloquently. And it's the way that Google has to do this work to be effective and efficient. And I think you nailed it there. What are the other quick wins plans that you typically use to knock it out of the park in the first 3 months?
That's a great question. Nowadays, and after a lot of experimentation and trying to figure things out, once again, we try to push towards this topic cluster approach. And we try to, even though, unfortunately, if you want to build a topic cluster in a separate subfolder, chances are that it's a bit more difficult to get to request and get development time from the client side. But if the client is up for it, we push towards that direction. and we create topic clusters in separate subfolders, and then the cluster pages under that subfolder, obviously. And we have seen great results with that. So this is something that we now try to expand and explore with more of our clients. So this is definitely one. And definitely something that was really eye-opening for me, definitely, and this is something that I've seen this year in great effect, was website acquisitions and how great this can contribute to your organic growth. And you have to be obviously very careful and strategic about it, but it can really, if implemented correctly, it can definitely help. So this is another thing. And yeah, I think top of mind, these two things.